Okay, it's going to be good. It's probably going to be the best thing on the show. Duh. The alternative of Vince, someone who can compete with Vince, because you finally had a billionaire versus a billionaire, not just someone giving their daughter some play money like TNA was back in the day. And it's like, you know what? You say when you don't feel the butterflies, you're not constantly learning. That's the time to pack away. And it's kind of where I felt I needed to be at one point. They exploded. You got like a legitimate surprise, holy chant. How the whole deal and whatnot too. It was it's a pretty special moment, man.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Seth Grimes here with a little piece of bonus content for you today. Doing an interview with one of my favorite people from back in my indie days. Bryan Skyline is here, who just made his return to UPW Pro Wrestling. Bryan, how's it going?
Hey there, Mr. Grimes. It's going pretty good, man. Just making after 5 years not wrestling and 7 years from UPW, finally making that return, and as I say, till the wheels fall off or something like that.
7 years since UPW. Did the fans remember you? Were you worried if the fans would remember you?
I did have those fears. I knew I had enough goodwill, and it had been talked about. Like, even before everything, going to an indie show for the first time in like 5 years, I had people, just during my regular day ask, "Hey, coming back? Hey, coming back?" It's like, no, just leave me the fuck alone, man. It's like, but eventually kind of broke down and whatnot, and they remembered me in Escanaba. That suffice to say, that was a pretty. Watched it back a few times from a friend's camera, and they exploded. You got like a legitimate surprise, holy shit chant, the whole deal and whatnot too. It was it's a pretty special moment, man. It's like, oh, okay, but yeah, all the fears before that too, like the wrong music played, so they weren't this, that, whatever.
Oh.
So like when it finally came through, it was like, oh, all right, we're good, we're back.
Yeah, you'll work out the bumps and stuff. That's awesome. For those not aware, UPW is an indie promotion up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. They've been running shows all over the UP essentially now. Your event that you returned at was UPW Returns. That took place in Escanaba, which was your old stomping ground up there. You took out Michael Jarrett in your return. What do you got against Michael Jarrett? What did he ever do to you? You've been gone for 7 years. He was what, Johnny Smash when you were there last time? What did he do to you?
Yeah, Johnny Smash.
You smashed
What
Michael
did
Jarrett.
he do? What did he do? He did the final run in, and we were kind of gonna go for see if we could pull a CM Punk kind of return thing. At the last, everyone thinks the show is over, and then all of a sudden, oh, what the fuck,
So he made an appearance, and then you did after him, like when everybody thought the show was done.
Yeah, no. At the end of the main event of Tommy Trainwreck and Joey Avalon, Michael Jarrett jumped Mr. Avalon, and then as he's walking away, I came to my little save of Joey Jets and took out Michael Jarrett.
So is this in support of Joey Avalon? Are you two in cahoots, or is this just your way to make an impact on your return?
It was what we came up with about 5 hours before the show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a hell of an impact.
The return, like a legitimate surprise about the whole thing is too, because you can honestly say even 12 hours before it happened, there's a good chance it was probably not happening. So
how so? Was it just coming to terms on things, or were you not sure if
coming to terms on things? Yeah. We had to hug it out and talk it out and all that fucking shit, so
yeah, I've been there. I did that whole process. It feels good though, doesn't it? Like, doesn't it, after all this time, it feels like you're back in the seat again, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it does in a way, but at the same time too, like, I know people are like, oh, you don't need that bitterness in your heart. It's like, actually, I didn't have any. I told people a million times, like, I hope they make $1 million, and I legitimately do. I want nothing to do with it. It just was out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
So, then it's like everything is kind of going around, got that itch back. So, figure might as well, might as well
Bitterness
buy
is a
Godspeed
good
bygones.
driving.
And it's a different time, too.
Yeah, bitterness is a good driving motivator too, man. Like that shit'll that could drive you through your whole second run there, you know. That's kind of shit that motivates you to attack people like Michael Jack from behind. Right?
That's right.
Who else are you excited to work with while you're
You're the
there?
king. You gotta remember the king.
Who else are you excited to work with while you're
Out
there?
the whole roster I've seen so. Uh, we're gonna see how it goes. We got Marquette Mania coming up on May 4th, and that's kind of like
Are
everything
you on
comes
that
to
card?
the peak, and then I'll be involved somehow. We haven't made an
You'll
official
be in the
announcement on that
building.
yet, but I will definitely be in the building.
That's awesome.
But no, the guys I've seen so far, Tommy Trainwreck's definitely a guy I definitely want to work with. The BBC, the Big Black Cowboy, Geo something. He looks like he could be a good opponent. And there's rehashing stuff at Avalon and some other stuff. Like we actually got a pretty okay scene up here in Northern Michigan at the moment
Oh
between
yeah.
UPW and We Love Wrestling, which is another promotion, Penbine, Northern Wisconsin, ran by the aforementioned Tommy Trainwreck. So we got a lot of good guys coming up and around this area now, man. It's exciting times, and with wrestling kind of the
Popping.
rising tide of WWE raising all ships right now. It's like
Yeah. It's
I've always
great for
had a
the indies.
bad sense of natural timing. Like when I broke into wrestling at 2007,
Dead.
5'10", 190 pounds,
Dead.
and
You weren't a
WWE is looking
giant.
for
The business was slow. You weren't big. It was very hard market to break into.
I don't have the same qualifications as The Rock, which was kind of what
Yeah.
WWE was. There's like an auditions for the next Rock. Everyone was tan. Everyone had the black trunks. Blah blah blah. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
good timing there, and gas prices going up and all that good stuff
Right.
at the time too. But
Making it harder to make the indie rounds and stuff like that. Because back in the day, I mean, you would
but
almost have to like go everywhere to get yourself noticed at some point. You'd have to be driving as far as your car could possibly take you, and that kind of becomes more limited over the recent years with the gas prices and shit like that.
yeah, but at the same time too, now there's so many different ways to like get your stuff out there in general. You know what I mean?
Socials, yeah.
Obviously, yeah. So like, it is getting on the road and doing shows. You do have to have that grassroots reach in independent wrestling if you want to make a little bit of money at it. But yeah, this the overall reach that we have now is definitely more advantageous because there was YouTube, and I had a YouTube account at the time. It was nice for sending resumes and stuff as opposed to the DVD or the old
Right.
VHS back in the day.
Yeah.
So I mean, but now like even just having different ways to make money just with print on demand and different ambassador programs that there's available now. So like, if you put your hustle in, you can make a little bit of money. It makes it a lot easier, especially even with rising gas prices and travel and whatnot.
Yeah, and if you follow, the Young Bucks were really good at that, kind of building that format for the indie worker to kind of be their own business. And
Bucks are famous for it. Obviously, with AEW being the end goal, they probably are the most successful. But Cole Cabana is the OG of all that, man.
Sure, yeah. Same with the podcast, but he who starts it is not necessarily he who makes it famous. You know what I mean?
No, the innovators never make the money.
Yeah,
it wasn't Nikola Tesla, it wasn't Sabu. None of those guys made money, but everyone stole their shit.
But no, you're 100% right. Yep, he even before, he was very good at being able to monetize that. You can do it if you have if you have the capacity for it, if you're able to do up your own t-shirts, get your own logos, carry all that shit with you, get yourself out there, utilize social media. It's a lot of work to be an indie worker, but it's fun. A lot of opportunity these days. What are you doing with your character right now? How are you presenting your character? I think last time UPW saw you were the Trailer Park Prince, correct?
Yeah, it was. What I'm doing now, I am not completely sure. It is kind of 'cause I want to say it's only been since like December when I finally I went to my first We Love Wrestling show, which was their first show too, which is the first indie show I've been to in like 5 years. And like I was even kind of tiptoeing around. I was like, do I want to bump anymore? I feel like a normal person. Like,
Yeah.
I had old injuries, got healed up and whatnot. It's like, maybe I'll referee. But then a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. I was like, okay, we're going now. So like, I'm just worried about getting some gear ready, getting a little bit in shape. We're bringing up the Marquette Mania. Then after that, we're gonna see where it goes.
So you're really just kind of you're back into it, almost dipping your toes, like a one step at a time kind of thing, one show at a time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at everything in general now. Because like I still some of the bitterness and like some of the burnout comes from just kind of obsessing too much about the next thing, what's the next level all the time, and
Yes.
kind of get to a point where you realize like, oh no, this is the plateau that I'm at, and like that's what stepping away was great. I was able to, clear my head in a lot of different ways, but even just like watching wrestling on TV, I wasn't watching it so much as like, ooh, there's a cool little spot if I do with my stuff here. Or I wasn't cutting it apart. I was just watching it as a fan. I can't watch it like a normal fan anymore. That's long and gone. But I can actually sit there and not have that shit going through my head. Like, oh, that was cool. Blah 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 blah. Now it's like, oh, I can actually enjoy it. It's like, clever spot. I like it.
Right.
So I'm just saying, yeah, just one day at a time, and like just setting some different goals. I mean, just definitely want to try to be able to get out there a little bit more. And there's a certain level of guys or girls too, for that matter, who I want to wrestle and test myself against. But I also don't want to go out there and Madison Rain myself. And
oh yeah, are you?
Yeah.
Do you think you'll be changing up your style then? You were always kind of more of a you had the technical expertise, and that's what I always loved about watching you work and shit. And I think we share that in common for what we like in wrestling too. We had a good conversation about Bret Hart sharpshooter one day. I love that, just the technical aspect of wrestling and the execution of submissions and all the finer the stuff that's the hook rest, catch wrestling, that kind of shit. Are you gonna be doing a lot of that, you think, now, or do you think as you're older and your body's kind of breaking down, you're gonna be more Terry Funk-esque and just kind of do more veteran stuff?
Yeah. No, I get that. There's definitely more of the tactical stuff, because I definitely even the time away from wrestling, still couldn't really be away from wrestling. I was doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu on a regular basis and whatnot too. So and the history of that and goes all the way back to 100 years ago with the grappling arts and what became pro wrestling today. So they're all cousins. So I was never really away from it, but I was also able to see the things that that Bryan Danielson or Zack Sabre Jr. doing. That is their thing, but how can I make that thing kind of my thing?
Mm-hmm.
Can I find the facts? I definitely like that. And Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre, are pretty physical wrestlers. I don't think I'll be wrestling New Japan guys right out the gate. And I think the technical side, more technical ground base, is a lot easier on the body, because you're not
less strong style involved, less getting just the shit beat out of you for real.
Yeah. I'd rather try to twist some joints and break some fingers. And
I love that shit though. Even you're talking about breaking fingers, what's his name? Butch there. What did he go back to? It's been blanking on it now. The fucking
Butch, Pete Dunne.
Pete Dunne, yeah.
Pete Dunne.
I love that kind of wrestling. He always breaks the finger, except for
the thing is, man. I think that's one thing too. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, when he does the finger spot though, like nobody ever like sells the fingers past like, ow, that hurts. Like you never see him come out the next week and they got him like taped up or anything like that. So that's my only nitpick with that.
Yeah,
But I love watching that kind of shit.
yeah, man. And that's something. Chain wrestling is boring. I don't think it's boring. It's just people do it as like, okay, we gotta get through this to get to our spot, sort of thing. It's like, oh, you take a wrist lock and I'll somersault through, and then I'll take a wrist lock and then you somersault and cartwheel through. It's like, anyone try to not let them reverse it? Try to fight for it,
Right.
work on it. I mean,
so it doesn't look like a
local.
routine. You're not dancing with the guy. You're struggling. You're trying to get the move.
I mean, 100%. Like, you look at Bret Hart matches when he wrestled like Owen and stuff, there was that struggle. You can go watch even Rey Mysterio and Psychosis in the 90s, man, when before they built up to all that innovative flying stuff, but they started working on the mat and they struggled on the mat to build it up to that. Now people just want to, boom, 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 grab a headlock, let's go off the ropes and start going into our stuff. And that's like what people say with even though the finger snap kind of has its it's like in that whole leg slap category. Sometimes it's using that special effect for a cheap pop.
The old Jack Vaughn special.
Yeah.
What wrestlers are you watching these days? Who are you high on that's out working right now? Could be people on the indies that people might know, but even on TV, like who are you looking to? Like, these are the guys right
now. Mango Cassis and Skyda and Lucha Libre guys been watching a lot of. Alex Shelley and Impact this last year. He's freaking genius, man. He truly is. I've been watching a lot of pro wrestling. Noel, I'm pretty high on Hayata and Dante Leon, who's gonna be in the States here this summer, I believe. Those are a couple guys I'm looking at, and the local scene, CJ Cole out of Milwaukee. He's looks like a lot of potential, and he's after it too. He's gained those 3-day weekends every weekend. So
yeah, the hustle, the grind.
Yep. Yeah, he's filling up his schedule. So, and he's a talented kid too.
Is he an example of somebody from that area you think might have a chance to kind of break out into the bigger indie scene?
I think he could. He calls himself the apex athlete. He is a heck of an athlete, but he also just kind of looks like a gym teacher, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely needs to he's in shape, but he's not really in shape, like not that aesthetic shape. If he get himself cut and, get a little more size to him, he definitely can. He's definitely got a little extra oomph to him that you kind of need to reach that next level.
Let's throw a little shade at some people. Who's overrated in the business right now? Who are people really high on that you're like, man, that guy fucking sucks? I don't get it at all.
Sammy Guevara, Jack Perry.
Yeah. All the pillars of AEW, basically.
Yeah, well, those two in particular, I'm not a big fan of those guys.
So Sammy's been getting himself in a lot of trouble lately, hasn't he?
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know the dude personally, but I've even heard stories from back in the Indies. He was always kind of like a prima donna and kind of
really
like a prick. Yeah.
There was that TNA a couple of years ago. I remember he went and did like a shot in TNA while he was working for AEW, and then he didn't like the creative apparently, and walked out.
Like, where do you get off? Yeah, like, where do you get off telling your bosses, I'm not going to do the job? And well, it's like, wait, where does this come from? Where it's usually negotiation at best, not, oh no, I'm not going to do it, so find something else. Like, that's not how work works.
I watched his vlog for a while, up until basically it became him and the Ty Conti show. Him and his wife were. But when it was him and his homies, it was pretty entertaining. He seems like a likable guy, but just like a fuck up. Like, he's just always getting himself in trouble. And I think he's, I I think shit happens in the ring, but I think he's kind of got a track record now at this point of being a little bit reckless and hurting people maybe more than he should at this point. So
Yeah, I think that might be even a thing in AEW, guys. Like, a small package works just fine after someone gets hurt. You don't have to hit them with your fucking finish.
yeah,
Like it happened with was it Bandito and Moxley, and
yep. And now Sammy with Jeff Hardy. Like
yeah, and I mean
apparently
shit
I
does
wasn't
happen. But
there,
it's like,
but apparently he was
yeah,
told to go home and then just like, oh, okay, let me do my finisher that is a knee to the face, by
yeah,
the way, which
right, right.
sometimes lands a little stiff too. The GTS has been
It's a
known to
lot of
hurt
momentum
people.
behind that thing, man. Yeah.
Right. So it's not something you
And
want to do to
especially
somebody that's
Jeff. I mean, Jeff ain't no spring chicken no more. The fact that he can
yeah.
still be able to do that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a beat up dude, and he was really beat up at that time.
Why do you think it is
But
that
no,
AEW's kind of seems to be like on the decline right now? What do you think's the problem with them? Because when they started, they were hot as shit. They were like you said you were going to say the Vince alternative.
yeah. Because remember, they're built on the anti-Vince platform. You know what I mean? The alternative Vince, someone who can compete with Vince, because you finally had a billionaire versus a billionaire, not just someone giving their daughter some play money like TNA was back
Right.
in the day.
Yes.
But a lot of the problems are, I mean, inexperienced at spots and no one just being happy they're getting a paycheck, it feels like. And Tony doesn't seem to say no, and they can't keep consistency a lot of times. And they got the talent to do it. So, like, I don't know. I mean, the shit rolls downhill, so it's got to come from Tony, you know?
Yeah, that's where I land with it too. Tony's the problem, which sucks because he's the fucking boss and the money and the owner and everything. So he's not gonna go away or get
Yeah, and he comes
replaced.
off as a good guy and a big wrestling fan, but it's like,
Yes.
bro, one thing I do know, like, there is the whole, like, Tony's playing what these wrestlers are as real life action figures and
Yes.
whatnot. Bro, like, my buddy's 12-year-old kid, like, we're in the figures and he's into them too, but he's still 12 years old, whatever. He's still bashing them together and whatnot.
Yeah.
And between his AI e-booking fed and his action figure fed and stuff on 2K, it is uncannily so much like Tony Khan in AEW. A million freaking belts.
Yeah.
Every match got a gimmick. Everyone loses their title into. I mean, yeah, it's like, oh shit. Yeah, it's actually kind of true, And he's got the minds there to do. He's got Jimmy Jacobs there now. He's got Brian Danielson, who got, they had Arn Anderson and Jake Roberts, who got booking experience. Like, can you just do what you do best and promote and delegate the rest? Let those guys come up with it and throw your 2 cents in,
100%.
I mean, it's like,
He doesn't
and,
want to though. He doesn't want to. This is
no,
fun for him. That's why he's running it, is because it's his fig fed. He's playing with it. It's fun.
yeah, man. I mean, good for him, and bless Tony Khan for that too, man. Because I mean, wrestling needed an alternative. I mean, TNA kind of fell flat, even though they're kind of ascending again right now. But that whole run with Dixie Carter and Vince Russo and Bischoff and Hogan,
Killed it. Yeah.
it was not going to happen. No one's going to catch WWE anyways. But I mean, just giving the boys the opportunity, and we do get some pretty cool matches on AEW, even though they're horrible at introducing to the common person what's going on, which is a big problem too.
Well,
Like,
it turns
okay,
into not caring then about the matches. Like, I remember and I can't remember the exact match off the top of my head, but there were banger matches that they booked that would be on like Rampage, and it's like, well, I'm not gonna go watch out of my way to watch Rampage to watch a match that there's no other context to it other than, oh, this guy's facing this guy and it's gonna be a really cool match. Okay, I'll catch the highlights on YouTube or something then, because there's nothing
I mean,
that compels me
Instagram,
to
they'll be on
tune in.
Instagram.
Right. What else? There's got to be other investment to draw you into there, in my opinion. What about?
Yeah, man. I mean, Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what about WWE? You obviously your primary everything you named was more of the independent stuff. Are you watching much of the WWE? They seem to be on quite the fucking high right now themselves with the Rock back and everything. Are you following all that pretty hot? What do you like there?
Yeah, I've always followed it. I mean, if I watch it consistently, that's one thing. But it's also like like the Rock concert. I didn't watch it when it happened on Friday, but I caught it on YouTube the next day. So
Yeah,
I definitely know what's going on. I feel like they're doing great right now. I mean, find it hilarious that Triple H, who was the most hated enemy of the IWC 20 years ago,
I
is
think
now
about
like the
that. Yeah.
savior.
Well, because he was. I mean, back then, like all you ever heard about Triple H was he went out of his way to try to hold people back and bury people backstage that were the fan favorites and shit. Like,
Mm,
but now he's that guy that, like, I think he kind of killed all that in NXT when he started signing all the top indie guys, and they were suddenly
yeah.
now they were his guys, and now it's like, okay, well now he's doing what we like, so we like this guy.
Right. So he's always a huge wrestling fan. That was obvious. Always a student of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta remember guys like him and even Jericho. They came in a very weird time of professional wrestling. It's like they had one foot in the old school, but one foot in the new. So like, they still have. There's still politics. There's still the bullshit that goes on behind, but there wasn't necessarily as much because a lot of that back in the day was because your spot was how much you got paid. Now with the contracts being more tiered, there's not as so much of that. It's just your ability to advance past what your spot is, and possibly make more. There's not like the honky tonk man politicking to keep the IC title because when he had the IC title, that's $3,000 a night in the main events on the B shows, or he'll get $300 without it. It's $300 a night on the C shows. So it's a little different now.
What is you talked about? It's been about 5 years since you've been on the indies. What's changed on the indies since when you were around before, for the better or for the worse? What are some of the things that you're seeing out there on the indies these days that's different?
Lots of leg slapping.
Yeah. I always
Yeah, I
think of
definitely.
Jack Vaughn now. Anytime that comes up. Have you seen a lot of his shit? Like all his
Yeah,
little
yeah,
TikToks
yeah. There's
and
part
stuff?
of me that kind of hates it, but there's other part of me that's like, thank you.
Yes.
It's like you gotta, it's like you're calling out the bullshit. It's funny, but it's kind of business exposing, even though the business is exposed. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, guys, this is how you look sometimes. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff on the indies right now. I mean, there's a lot of guys, are making their names across right now in Game Changer, ICW, No Holds Barred. I mean, just in general, like everyone's drawn pretty well right now. Um, and it's the indies too. I kind of make fun of the leg slapping thing. It is kind of a crutch for guys. It's the cheap pop with that slap. But it's also when you're just learning the mechanics of it and stuff, you're kind of, you're almost kind of dependent on it. You're worried about getting through the match. You're not feeling your match yet and whatnot. And that just comes with time and experience too. And
That's something that always
I
stood
definitely think.
out. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead. I
I was
forgot
gonna say that's
already.
something that's always caught my attention and kind of stood out, like the difference between, like, when you watch a lot of the NXT workers and frankly a lot of the female talent in general, it stands out to more. And I love women's wrestling too, but like fewer talents and women are really good than in with the men's division, it seems. And it seems like with those less experience, and especially like in the women's division, I always see the paint by numbers wrestling where you're thinking about getting through the match and what do you got to do next in the match instead of being in the match and experiencing that. And I don't
Yeah.
know that it's necessarily like a call it in the ring type thing. Even it's just like, I don't know that necessarily everybody even gets what they're trying to do out there. Are they trying to do a gymnastics show, or are they
Right.
trying
No.
to
No.
simulate combat?
No. You're 100% right on that. That's because people aren't really getting the reps that you used to get. And like, I think my buddy puts the analogies like, a Major League Baseball player, is the best at what they do when they get to that level. They're wherever the position there is, or pitcher, whatever, home run hitter, blah blah blah. They're the best to get to their level. But with wrestling, because you can have smoke and mirrors, sometimes they put people who aren't ready for that yet, and it does get exposed pretty quickly. I mean, for what you want to say about wrestling fans in this, like, when something's off. Like, it's like that something's not that match didn't go right. Something with that person isn't ready for that yet. And I think, it is, like I said, it comes down to, getting those reps. And like, even like NXT, like they used to have, like, I think they call it the palm tree
the pineapple loop, something like that. Coconut
the pineapple loop.
One of those.
Yeah. But that was like just, their little indies where they put the new people and they get, more reps. But sometimes they'll, because, this might fit a character. Maybe it'll change a little more when we'll see what goes on now that Vince is gone. Because, they would just, pull someone out and give them a fucking gimmick because, oh, hey, I remember that person looks like this, so they're going to be this gimmick.
Yes.
So pull them up. It's like, well, they're not ready yet. Okay, well, this guy, okay, whatever.
Jade Cargill is a good example of that. There's a lot of criticism that she hasn't really been on TV since she was signed, but I think that's great because she is a huge star. And if they put her on TV before she's not ready and she's just kind of embarrasses herself out there and looks bad, that's going to really take the piss out of her becoming a big star.
Yeah. And that happened before too. Like, you mentioned, I remember the old WWECW on Sci-Fi. Armando Estrada was like the general manager of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget what the guy's name is, but it was like something Tito or something. He had like he's from Pittsburgh, so he had the terrible towel.
Oh yeah, he had a fro too, didn't he? Didn't he have like a big?
Yeah.
Yep, I remember him.
Yeah, but like they wanted him. I mean, he looked like $1 million. Can't deny that. And they gave him a little gimmick, so they tried to push him on there. And I remember this match made fucking TV for some reason because they're giving him this little push and they're putting him in an angle with the GM, and then they have their little blow off match, and it's supposed to be a big wrestler kicking the shit out of a manager type of match, but you watch like Armando Estrada literally carrying this dude through this match. I mean, like grabbing the and the guy fucks it up and back down in the chin lock. And this is what they let on television.
Yeah. I think ECW was live back then. I think they taped SmackDown and then went live with ECW right after, because I was at one of those shows and they were like very hurriedly like changing out the set and everything to like, and it's weird that you would do ECW after SmackDown, but it was because it was live.
Right. No, that would make sense then too. So yeah,
still shouldn't have been on TV if he wasn't ready though. But I mean, at least that would be why they couldn't cut it or edit it or anything,
Well, that's why he didn't make it. It's just like the story of Mega Man Tom McGee when Bret Hart carried him. That's my next champion, and then they found out, well, Tom McGee, that's a lot of Bret Hart doing what Bret Hart does and did,
which speaks volumes for Bret. And that was always my thing with Bret too, growing up. Like, Bret was the first guy when I was a wrestling fan that like I noticed work rate, because before then it was colors and Macho Man and Warrior and personalities and shit like that. But Bret was the first guy when I was a kid that was like, oh, this guy's really goddamn good in the ring. Like, he's crisp and everything that he does looks great. Yeah. And the best matches I remember seeing with people like a Kevin Nash or whatever were with Bret. So it speaks a lot for his talent to be able to work with a broomstick. That's where that kind of saying comes from, right?
Yeah, for sure too. And like Bret too, man, like when you talk like the excellence execution, like all this stuff looked great and snug and all that too, but like it was like a strategy with him too, like there's always like a strategy behind it. Like, you may believe that he knew what he was doing. Everything had a purpose to it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, it's like even when he wrestled big guys like Bigelow or Nash, like kind of when you get to the point where he worked the leg enough, he could pick him up for a suplex or a backbreaker, or shoot him a reverse or whip or something where beginning of the match when they're fresh, they wouldn't do that. He always had those little things. When you look back on it, man, it's like, wow, like his stuff does stand the test of time. Like, I mean, you talk about Brett and Sean, it's like, Sean was definitely the more dynamic performer, and there's the two stories of Sean, you know. But I mean, if you're gonna go head up as top guys and consistency, it's like I gotta give it to Brett, man. Like,
Yeah.
as bad as mid '90s Sean was, I don't think a lot of his stuff holds up as well as Brett's does.
No, Brett was the man for me too. I was definitely a Brett guy.
Yeah.
What let's see here. What do you think of that Jake Paul Tyson thing? Kind of switching gears here. I know you're into those kind of spectacle boxing events and fights and that kind of thing. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson on Netflix, especially. This is going to do huge business for sure. But is it going to be worth a shit? What do you think?
It's a fucking work.
It is though, right? It always was, right? All of these little, like, even when Logan fought Mayweather, that was a work too, wasn't it? Like, just at the very least,
dude,
an
even
exhibition.
Go back to Conor and Mayweather. All right, like Mayweather, yeah, he was the boxer, is his element, and there was Conor could catch him with that left, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the Vegas odds were so in favor for Floyd Mayweather. If Conor McGregor would have won that fight, they could have bankrupted Vegas. Conor was not winning that fucking fight.
No.
Like, I mean, that stoppage is a little And that's like the thing too. When Tyson came back against Roy Jones, everyone was like, "Oh, Tyson's gonna kill him, going to kill him." I'm like, Roy Jones had his last fight 2 years ago, and he's been training guys since he's retired from competition. Mike Tyson just started working out because his wife called him fat, you know. And then the big thing was it's just an exhibition. The Vegas odds went flat, and that's when you got the draw. And like even Roy Jones, who like never threw a jab in his whole career, is throwing jabs while Mike Tyson's bobbing and weaving like he's 23 again. It's like, and it's Mike Tyson's promotion too, so.
Netflix is a big score though, right? They've been with the WWE deal too. I feel like this is another, like, they're kind of testing the waters for live sports. I actually heard that ESPN and like Max and Disney, I think, are all partnering to bring in live sports. So I don't think Netflix is going to be able to get a deal for traditional live sports, but I think if they can kind of get into the MMA space and boxing and that sort of thing, I think that's the next logical step for them, right?
No, I definitely agree, because, you know, all the ESPN, I mean, blah blah blah, like a lot of stuff hinges right now on those NBA rights, and you know they're gonna pay gajillions to keep those rights in that ABC, NBA, ESPN, you know, family and shit, you know, in that area. So like, definitely getting that niche carved out, you know, getting involved with TKO and that deal with WWE. I mean, the Paul brothers are bringing this together now. You know what I mean? Like they're big players in both of it. I mean, so it's gonna be interesting.
What do you think of Logan in WWE?
I mean, it's cool getting to see these matchups too. You know what I mean? It's like, it's cool that people get to see, even though it's old man Tyson. Like, go watch those training videos, dude. He's still freaking.
He's a monster. I wouldn't want anything to do with Tyson. He's a killer. He's older. He might have lost a step or a couple steps, but he'll still kill any normal man with ease.
Oh yeah. You know, you don't want to. You don't. No,
do you think he'd be able to beat Jake in a shoot?
Yeah, I think he could.
Yeah,
but I mean, Tyson. Here's something, like, Tyson is pretty. Want to talk about overrated? Tyson is overrated.
Think so?
Okay. Yes. Here's the thing. Mike Tyson has been in 4 fights, 4 real fights. He was handed bunches of tomato cans to pump him up. He lived off intimidation and his presence. And yeah, he could hit like a brick shithouse. There's no question about that. Or he wasn't unskilled, but he was a marketing genius, marketing phenom. Because like when he got in there with real boxers and he had to get down and get that deep down within himself in that 12th round, where was it? It wasn't there.
Yeah.
That box office attraction, one scary motherfucker. But he's nowhere in like Muhammad Ali or Lennox Lewis or even Evander Holyfield's league.
Interesting. Think that's why he had to resort to biting the ear?
Yeah, he fucking, man. He's in there with a better fighter.
What else are you watching these days on like streaming, Netflix, anything like that? You watching any cool shows?
No, not much of a. I've been mostly wrestling. I've been watching a lot lately, and I'm a big sports guy, so that's basically what I consume most of my time with. So
Did you
every
catch
now and again, I'll find a show.
Did you catch the Iron Claw movie by chance? It's technically wrestling.
I haven't
sorta.
actually.
No?
Yeah, I haven't actually. Yeah,
It's good.
I don't know. I just don't jump on. Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't know. It's like one of those things where, like, I guess when I first started getting into wrestling, that's when WWE was coming out with all the fucking Marine movies and
yeah.
The Rock was starting and all that shit. Everyone's like, "Oh, I bet you watched this movie." It's like, no, just because it has wrestling in it doesn't mean I'm gonna fucking watch it.
So you're not a movie guy in general. Doesn't matter if it's wrestling.
Well, I'm a movie guy in general, but like, yeah, it's not. Oh, I have to watch that movie because it's WWE related. It's like, no. I mean, I definitely Iron Claw is something I probably should go out and watch because it, but also at the same time too, it's like why I didn't watch 30 for 30 when it came out. A lot of people were all big about it because it's like I kind of know the story. Some kind of it's like nothing's really gonna surprise me.
What about like Wrestlers on Netflix? With Al Snow following OVW and shit. Did you catch that at all?
I didn't watch that either.
Dang, man.
No. I've been watching I watch their television usually every week, but I didn't catch any of that. Like I was pretty much on Peacock and Disney Plus the last 2 years, so I don't go have the million streaming services. Usually kind of
I know. I went through and canceled a bunch. They keep getting more expensive, and there's not. You can watch them in splurges because I don't watch much TV really either. But sometimes I like to sit. Like I watched that when I just recently added Netflix back, and I had to get in Wednesday and the Dahmer show and shit like that. So had to cram those in. I like it from time to time, but I definitely recommend Iron Claw. It'll crush you though. You gotta go into that prepared for that.
Well, I know the finish of the story, but actually kind of like see it visualized like that might be a whole different thing. And it's a movie too; it'll have its wave and whatnot. It's not like the 30 for 30 was more of a documentary. This would be, it's supposed to be more of a dramatic film. So.
Oh yeah, definitely it is. But I thought they did good with the wrestling stuff too. All things considered, they didn't.
Chavo Guerrero was the man, dude.
Absolutely, everything looked good. They didn't make a mockery out of anything either. They didn't They didn't really even break kayfabe necessarily. It was really good. The way they kind of towed the line of explaining that this is a work, but it's not at the same time. They went out of their way to show like dude that was playing like Kevin Von Erich took a suplex from the guy playing Harley out on the floor, and he got really winded and he almost couldn't make it in the ring legit because he couldn't get up, and then his dad chewed his ass Fritz backstage. And that kind of shit I'm sure happens, right? Like legit, get your bell rung, get your wind knocked out, like that shit hurts, and it takes the toughness to get through.
Yeah, no, especially you gotta remember that era too, man. Like that's coming off of their parentage are World War II, raised by World War II veterans and shit. So it's a whole different process, Like that's why I feel like this. Every older generation hates the generation that follows them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Gen X hates Gen Y, Gen Y hates fucking Gen Z, etc., etc. Even though we just keep doing the same shit, but like there is a big difference between even what we grew up with and how it was for what our parents even grew up with, as far as like the coaches and high school coaches and like certain drills and stuff that would make you do. It's like you look back now, it's like that is just no.
Yeah.
Why did you think that was a good idea? Why would you put someone in a circle of football players and then have people randomly run at them and knock them over? It's like, how's that toughing you up? Where's the purpose of that? It's like, oh, these kids are pussies. No, maybe people just got smart.
Yeah, we definitely got.
Maybe getting clotheslined and spear, head damage. Like.
I bet there was a lot of wrestlers that came out of training school with head damage before they ever even went in to have their first match.
Oh no, 100%. Because if you do look into this stuff, and I'm not like super research guy or anything, but I do keep very up to date as I can about what different research that is coming about. Because I never had the blinding lights, throwing up, first degree concussion, a couple second degrees, and a lot of just my bell rung, like, oh, hello, the flashing lights, had that happen a lot of times too. But also taking bumps and whatnot, and what athletes go through. Just remember, your spine is, that nerve in the spine that's all connected to your brain right there, so like doing a lot of damage to that too. That adds up eventually, part of it too, man. So yeah, there's a good chance you're a little concussed before you even have your first match.
How is your body holding up these days? You got a significant run left in you now that you've kind of got your feet wet back in there. You've taken the bumps again. You feel like you got a good run left in you, or you think you're kind of limited at this point?
No, I mean, I actually got like some stuff actually worked on that I probably needed like 10 years ago that made like a huge difference. Like I had like nerve damage in my leg and my hip and whatnot too, and like I just kind of iced it and stretched and everything was fine. And then one day it just kind of went to shit, and then it was bad for a year or so. Then I went to it's not a physical therapist, it was sort of masseuse. But anyways, it was a lady who did like grafting, massage, like take a bar across like the areas and like do like deep tissue sort of work and whatnot. And like, yeah, like that alone, and just some of that stuff is just like, I could feel the ground, which is like a weird thing to say. It's like after I could feel the ground. It's like, my leg was just so built with scar tissue and stuff, and I got so used to it, like I didn't realize
that's
how much damage I actually had done. Yeah.
So in some ways, you might be healthier than you were. I mean, age and bumps and bruises aside, like you're not carrying around some of those same injuries that you were maybe working with in the past.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I'm 43 years old, just turned 43, so I feel pretty much every injury I have anyways. But like, just the difference in how my overall body felt. And like, I've been taking a lot of time looking at that Tom Brady method, and Alex Shelley has lots of good advice and content out there.
Yeah, that's not even athletes, old for wrestling these days. Like, man, people are well into their 50s sometimes wrestling nowadays. 40s, there's lots of people in their 40s.
Dude, Dustin Rhodes and Christian Cage had one of the best TV matches of AEW of the year. They're both in their 50s.
Yeah,
and they did cool shit
phenomenal.
Too, man.
Christian's been so entertaining. Yes, but like
he always has been, man.
He hasn't necessarily always been given that free reign to be as creative, especially in WWE and TNA. He was. That's where I really started to notice him, was his TNA run as Christian Cage. But like working with AJ and shit, he had some bangers back then. But he's been on fire.
He always had a lot of underrated bangers too, man. Like when he came back to WWE, him and Jack Swagger, man, they're for the ECW title, man, like some were underrated classics. Like, but because it was on ECW, and then like Vince never put the shine on fuck Christian. There's the infamous Blue Dot story,
right? Because he's ugly. So. I don't want that on my TV.
Yeah, right. But that's kind of the thing, though, too. I always said, like, he's kind of like a modern-day Ric Flair. Not necessarily the dirtiest player in the game, but he's that creepy little bastard, Mm-hmm. So, like, that can, he's got that element to him. So it's like, that's a good thing. You can make money, because he does have a face you can hate.
Absolutely. You mentioned earlier in the interview, and I want to kind of touch back on it because I think people will wonder. You talked about carrying some bitterness with you towards just the indie. I guess I don't know if it's the indie scene in general or UPW specifically. Is there anything like talk about that a little bit? Where do you think that comes from, and how do you like? What are you doing to work through that right now? Where are you at with it?
I made peace with that stuff a long time ago, honestly. I mean, there's just when I kind of like reached my burnout phase and like I was just kind of wrestling because that's just kind of what I did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's where it's at. And like that was like I remember when it really started kicking in was when I was supposed to wrestle for IW Mid South in the Ted Petty Invitational, and like then it got canceled like 2 weeks before it happened. And this was like, the fun to have a stage like show I can compete with this level of guys. This could be the break or whatever, or this is a proud moment to be something to be proud of. And then it's just like gone. And then he runs 3 years later, and now I'm not even on their Wikipedia. So it kind of was like, okay, so like it's just the same old shit, wrestling the same old guys. Like I love Avalon and I love Silas Young to death, but there's a few other things we can do, but at the time we wrestled each other so much, it's like, okay, it's gonna be good. It's probably gonna be the best thing on the show, duh. It's like, what do you want to do? I don't know. Let's fuck around, fuck some shit up here, man. I don't care. And that's
Right.
kind of the attitude I had. I guess I got burnt out on it. It's like you know what you say when you don't feel the butterflies. You're not constantly learning. That's the time to pack away, and it's kind of where I felt I needed to be at one point. Like even the stuff I was doing before I kind of stopped, I wasn't even doing it for myself, and pro wrestling is something that you do for yourself. I was just doing it because some people expected me to help them out and whatever, just like, I don't even really want to be doing this. It's you guys while I'm doing this, and I don't want to be doing it.
The burnout hits everybody hard, I think, and I think that is a good time to duck out because then you're not doing your best work anyway, and it's just going to steadily
No, I'll
decline
admit
from there.
yeah. And I'll admit to, some substance problems and stuff, doing, like drinking and being popping something at inappropriate times and not being, I wasn't in a good mental state with wrestling at all. So, like, it was just like, yeah, okay, let's do some death matches. Here, give me a couple bikes and wash that down with a beer. Let's go.
Yeah.
You just stop caring. And it's something I love to do. So, just like, fuck, it's better just to walk away. It's like, yeah, I can't ever really walk away,
No, you can't.
but at the same time, yeah, but at the same time, too, it's like, so I was saying, like, I want everyone to make $1 million. I don't fucking care. Leave me out of it. That's great. Keep doing what you're doing. I don't want anything to do with it right now. And that thing, I kind of became even more annoying, made me want to stay away more as people kept asking me after I told them, please just leave me alone about it.
Yeah.
Because it'll progress itself out. And then
Similar to Punk,
yeah.
it sounds like it's the Punk experience.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's not just Punk. There's a lot of guys, you feel that, man. Like when you hit that plateau, that glass ceiling, you kind of, that, like Jimmy Cornette says, man, like, how can we miss you if you don't go away?
Yes,
So
yes.
like, and that works two ways too. I mean, it was, like I've done refereeing with We Love Wrestling. A few of the fans are crossover fans, so
Yeah.
seeing people from the past, and then even like the little returns at UPW returns, it's like, okay, now I remember why I did this.
Mm-hmm.
This is that moment. It's like, okay, I did something good in my life. I don't know what it was. Apparently, it's throwing myself at the ground, but I throw myself at the ground enough that these people liked it, that they appreciated it. So,
well,
great.
that run in UPW, that first run that you had, I mean, you had consistently some of, if not the best match on the card every single time. You were, arguably considered the best worker on the roster, and the fans respected and appreciated you for that. And that's why they remember you now. Because you weren't
Yeah,
just
no, I
another guy
definitely.
on the roster. You were there. You had championships. You were in the main event
I
picture.
was I was in the more main events than anyone in that promotion.
Yeah.
Up until like my, I'm sure I don't think anyone's counting, but like if there's 12 shows a year, I main event in at least 6 or 7 of them. So, and if not, I was in a featured spot.
And told
So,
good stories on top of it. So, that one that you did with Tommy there, I think people aren't going to forget that, So
yeah.
and your work with Silas, I think it's going to be good for you. I think it's awesome that the fans remembered you and gave you a good reaction. And I think that's, a good motivator to take with you going forward and really just kick some ass while you're there.
Yeah, man. It's a good time to be back in wrestling. I'm refreshed. Like, my mind's working like a mile a minute and whatnot. And I'm, doing a lot more backstage stuff this time around. Like, so yeah, I just get that fire lit under me now, too. And it's like, okay, I am good at this. I'm good enough at this. So I want to see what else I can do with it still left. It's like we talk, it's like, okay, we're sitting in a room with Drew McIntyre. Who are they choosing for the main event of WrestleMania? So like that's not on the cards. So, and that's okay. So what can we do? Like what we're doing with UPW and Marquette Mania and We Love Wrestling. We're just doing this area, just bringing people something that they don't get a lot of around here as live entertainment. So it's a good thing going forward, man. I'm excited. It's good times.
Yeah, that's an area that needs that live entertainment, and the fans seem to have clung to AEW. Like they're at those shows, and they've been able to do it for so long now. The Marquette Mania thing is cool. I think you're in a position now, obviously help a lot of the younger guys and that sort of thing that can kind of pick your brain and help progress the business that way. But also, I think these big returns of the people that were on top that had their run and went away for a while, when you come back, I think that's very ripe for just great storytelling, like putting on the coolest match on the card. Maybe could be secondary now at this point. You've done that work. Now it's like, what kind of stories can we sink our teeth into, and what kind of fun can we have here?
Yeah, dude, 1,000%. That's just kind of where I'm at too, because I know there's some people want to rehash stuff from back in the day, and it's like I don't want to do that personally. And I've definitely got, I want to say, clout, but I've earned my stripes where I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not Sammy Guevara with 2 years on TV. It's not the same thing as 10 years of my home indie fans. Like I got enough clout that I can say, no, let's not do it that way. There's definitely a better way to do it. I don't want to, because I don't want to do the same thing. That's why I'm even like, just changing up the moveset. I mean, changing up my hairstyle is gonna be a thing soon. Like if I do it, I want to be just, this your average 40 miler. I want to at least put the effort into it, and like create something.
Maybe a meaner streak too, like AJ Styles, for example, has really had that lately. I mean, he's had that pit bull tendency to him that Vince used to like in him, but he's just been a vicious motherfucker lately. Like I see that some of that in you as well, kind of. Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
So
not sure if I'm on AJ's level, but I get what you're saying.
Same character energy, you know what I'm saying? You just that pissed off grizzled vet that just ain't taking anybody's bullshit anymore and gonna kick some people's asses and
it's not that
make sure that they didn't forget that Bryan Skyline still exists in this area of wrestling here. So what else you got? You plugged the Marquette Mania. We'll wrap it up here. You got that coming up in May, you said. What else you got on the table? Anything?
Yeah, well, we got March 30th, UPW, Maximum Carnage in Iron Mountain. April 14th, We Love Wrestling in Pembine, Wisconsin. And then the 3rd and the 4th of May, Marquette Mania being the 4th, and We Love Wrestling is going to be that Friday to it. So that's the next few shows we got coming up. And oh yeah, it should be fun. But yeah, then after that, like I said, this is kind of like we're just kind of building towards this right now and everything, just kind of adjusting, getting ready. And then once that hits the summertime, we'll see. You know, and like kind of like the loose goal right now, even is just Minneapolis gets WrestleMania. It's like, man, we gotta go. We gotta try to get on shows during that
Oh,
weekend.
hell
Man.
yeah.
It's in our
Yeah, because that's
backyard. Like,
within driving distance, and there'll be tons of indies going on the whole week, probably.
yeah. I mean, there's a bunch just down for. And we went to SummerSlam in Detroit.
I was there
know,
too. You went there?
Yeah.
No
Me and my
shit.
buddies, a lot of people I knew there. Yeah, Melvin was there actually.
Really? I didn't see any of you fuckers.
Yeah, but like I wasn't ready to even get wrestling at that time. But like, there's indie shows like, oh, I can get in this show. I can get on that show if I wanted to. You know, it's like, and just to be a part of that area too at the time, being part of a SummerSlam or WrestleMania vibes. Like, yeah, throw me in a battle royal, man. I'll figure some way to get a cool elimination. I just want to be in that field of energy of wrestling goodness.
Right. Hell yeah, man. Well, it sounds like you're pumped to get back out there and get into the wrestling scene again. I'm glad to see you doing it. You were always one of my favorites. So it's good that you're not sitting on the bench and that you're out there contributing to the local scene. And the local scene's hot right now, and they could definitely use you. So that's shit's dope. So any other last words for anybody before we let you off the hook here?
No, just thanks for having me on. We'll have to do it again some other time, man. Like, I enjoy doing stuff on this. Maybe we can even do like a watch along, or you can do some like retro reviews. I would enjoy those.
Yeah. There's definitely some shit that we can like. I've been kind of racking my brain for all kinds of different like just bonus material. Like this is gonna end up being, just outside of my normal videos that I do. So there's definitely opportunity for that. We'll definitely do that if you're down. That'll be the shit. Actually, oh fuck, I lost you. Let's wrap this up here.
Let's wrap
before we lose you again. All right, Bryan, I appreciate you swinging by. I appreciate you hanging out with me and having this chat. Everybody, go check them out at UPW Pro Wrestling. I'll put links in the description below. And just appreciate having you, man. Good luck in your future endeavors, and we'll have you back on to do some sort of something soon. Watch along or some shit like that. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be a great time, dude. Yeah, just whenever you want to, we'll make the time. And peace out, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Sounds great.
Listening.
Peace, love, and pizza. I am your boy Seth Grimes for Bryan Skyline of UPW Pro Wrestling. We're out of here.